It was a silver coin that got printed that was worth 6 times its silver value, which completely blows the minds of the monetarists that research that history, and they figured that it must be some sort of error. But he points out that the original Roman money, people don't realize this, was bronze.
What we're trying to convey here is that the gold standard isn't this original gold money isn't this original clean pure system that existed at one point in time,
That things would be great if we just turned back to.
right?
Yeah.
And then just the fiat money system came on top of that and screwed it all up. If you think that way, a lot of things won't really make a lot of sense in today's economy, in the past, the history, and future predictions.
And to that point, we've repeated this many times, is that when you look at the word fiat, it means decree. So that means if there's a gold standard, it's still fiat money because the government decreed that gold is the money. It's as completely arbitrary as pieces of paper or digital or whatever.
Yeah,
I think that's something really important to understand. There's not this objective money that exists outside the realm of human society and human government, right? If
right.
all humans vanished off the earth tomorrow, there would still be gold, but there wouldn't be any more money. Money is like a societal, human, legalistic creation. And the fact that it has been stamped on gold occasionally in the past doesn't change that. I have a next thing to move into, unless you had more on the points that we were already making.
Well, I'm just looking for that Wikipedia, but I guess I'll link it maybe later. If I find it, I'll link it. But it's not really that important. But just, I think the important point is that there's no real gold standard monetary system or no real gold monetary system that exists or has ever existed. Sometimes gold was used in Roman days for certain coins, but the coin value was based on the fact that it had a stamp of the emperor on it and that it was good for tax payments. And also, the value of these coins, they circulated at a higher value than just the metal content.
And they had to, otherwise they'd get melted down.
Right.
And then actually to that point, I'm remembering this based off of reading The Lost Science of Money by Stephen Zarlinga of the American Monetary Institute, is that there was a coin at one point, I forgot if it was the silver ace or whatever it was. It was a silver coin that got printed that was worth 6 times its silver value, which completely blows the minds of the monetarists that research that history, and they figured that it must be some sort of error. But he points out that the original Roman money, people don't realize this, was bronze. Yep. This is when they were small and inside their own zone. It was bronze, and when the Punic War started to happen, and Rome started really expanding more and more and more, they switched to a silver currency, but in 2 different ways. They had the local currency, which had a denomination stamped on it, for example, a 1. But then they had a currency that they gave to their soldiers out in the foreign areas that didn't have a denomination because they knew that the legal value of the Roman money at home wouldn't have that legal value abroad. So basically they were giving them silver for barter purposes abroad, because this can translate into whatever the local currency is. And Stephen Zarlinga makes the argument, with which I agree, that this was the beginning of the downfall of the Roman economy, because now they were at the whim of international players messing with the gold and silver on the international scene. But to the point that Nima was making, there's evidence, significant evidence. I mean, again, the original bronze coinage of the Romans, the two different the international and the national coin. One had a denomination and one didn't, and the fact that there was this silver coin printed at one point that had 6 times the value of its silver content is all pointing to the fact that even when gold and silver are being used as money, the evidence is showing that it's the legal value is the important part.
It's much more so. It's much rather a technology that's used to record
Yes.
debts and debt redemption values than the gold itself. Right? Today we have digital technology. It's important that when you have a monetary system, that it's not easy to counterfeit that money. Obviously, right? So in ancient days and in the past, we didn't have digital banking and all these things. So obviously they had to use some sort of metal that was rare or that only the state could obtain. You know, the Roman state controlled all the mines, so they could easily get access to this metal. But to the individuals, it wasn't necessarily that easy. I mean, it wasn't a population that had a lot of things, right? So if they wanted to create a fake bronze coin, they would have to take something out of their household that's valuable to them and melt it down and create a fake gold coin.
Well, and then you'd have to have the technology to stamp an authentic looking coin.
Right.
Right?
If you get caught, then
Death, crucifixion, torture.
Wouldn't treat you very
Yeah.
nicely. So here's just one more thing. Early American currency on Wikipedia. This is what I was looking for. It says here, one by one, colonies began to issue their own paper money to serve as a convenient medium of exchange. In 1690, the province of Massachusetts Bay created the first authorized paper money issued by any government in the Western world. This paper money was issued to pay for a military expedition during King William's War. Other colonies followed the example of Massachusetts Bay by using their own paper currency in subsequent military conflicts. However, as the colonies began printing their own money, location-based socioeconomic issues soon followed. Most of these concerns were rooted in each colony having different values of the dollar, which made any inter-colony transactions a confusing mess. By the time Parliament decided to prohibit the printing of paper money in the colonies, their hired counterfeiters were able to take advantage of the common people, widening the gaps between socioeconomic classes. The paper bills issued by the colonies were known as bills of credit. Bills of credit could not be exchanged for a fixed amount of gold or silver coins upon demand, but were redeemable at a time specified in the future. Bills of credit were usually issued by colonial governments to pay debts. The governments would then retire the currency by accepting the bills for payment of taxes.
Boom. Yep. Go ahead.
When colonial governments issued too many bills of credit or failed to tax them out of circulation, inflation resulted.
Did we write this in Wikipedia? This sounds exactly like us. Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess our main point is just the gold standard theory is a very theoretical theory, and the people who believe in it, they believe in it because they think they've come to this conclusion through some sort of what they call praxeological, logic-only, pure reason. It's almost like a form of rationalism.
Yes.
Going back to philosophical conversations recently. Because it's based on pure reason, it must be true. This is why they're so dogmatic about it. But then once you start looking at historical documents, then all you find is evidence for the opposite side of the story.